I don't know if you're there or not. How can I tell? I think so because it says I'm going live right now. Hello? Does that work? There we go. So, so I need to see if you're actually being able to hear me or not, since I just see, oh, I am live. Thank you, Anne. Okay, so I had some technical difficulties on my computer, and so I am using my smartphone right now, and it is already 7:23, and so we have only 7 minutes left for this reading. So, so I don't know what to do in 7 minutes because I wanted to leave some Q&A. So I am just going to begin by reading a poem from my book Black Seeds on a White Dish, and you know probably that who I am, but I will tell you a little bit about myself. I am the author of 5 books, most recently How Do I Net Thee and The Sun of Blazing Zero, and also Door of Thin Skins, and also of 2 chapbooks. And my poems have appeared in many places, including Poetry and American Poetry Review, and Iowa Review, and Poets.org for the Academy of American Poets series, and NPR. And also I've received awards from Poetry Society of America and Academy of American Poets, and I live and teach in upstate New York, creative writing, and I'm a Tarpellian Sky special features editor. And so I've just been told that I can go on for the time that we had been allotted for, and that I don't have to rush to end at 7:30. And so, hi everybody who is there, and thank you for coming online at Poets and in Pajamas. And I'm sorry that that the screen isn't as fantastic as I had hoped for. Okay, so I'm going to begin this reading with reading a few poems from my first book, which is Black Seeds on a White Dish, that Shearsman published, and so the first poem that I'm going to read, and if anybody wants to tell me if I need to change any of the view, please feel free to let me know, because I can't see anything back of you. Okay, so this is Lim, and this is Limn, Lim. I felt the painting return when the phone rang, and I was called upon to speak. My arm stiffened in its rectangle. Perched in a mad dash, not yet set flat against the wall, the thing itself merely expedient, early Renaissance, a portrait of a woman with long, wavy, chestnut hair. The vibration of my voice within the frame tilted the painting hither and thither. Only in the flap of hindsight, a glimpse of what I had been, the exposed wall, whatever holes, smudges, and patches were made over time, the visual equivalent of a sea in the shell, where safes are rumored to be. Flowers have lips, their petals, dispersing phrases as they die. What's left is a hum, then silence, black boxes in a crossword. Amnesia paddles up a lake, takes its place in a grassy swamp, where the most weightless of insects twitter. Okay, and now I'm going to read a very short poem, and my poems vary between being minimalist and super short, some being a hybrid of prose and poetry and kind of long. And also I have a lot of poems with visual elements, not literal illustrations, but gestural and typographical in my effort to create language where there are no words in the English language. But in any case, I'm going to read Spoke. In the whir of the tire, the spokes move so fast. You, they, blend into one of the tones on the gray scale, but not quite. Once in a while, a metal flash, a line. And for now, the last poem that I'm going to read from Black Seeds on a White Dish is Autobiography. I was afraid my life would be like visiting my grandparents when I was little. Green carpet, big ugly sofas, and no one having anything to say. My grandfather seeming not to be thinking. No one wanting to talk to anyone, just no one having anything to say. Sitting there like mummies, out of duty, no other reason. I sit and look straight at the hollowness, a bullseye. I want to say my life has been a pipe cleaner, beautifully twisted, in tandem with others like it. Or not beautiful, a known by name shape. Nothing to do but let the form of things take over. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to this other book called Door of Thin Skins, if you can see the cover. And this book is a narrative, and it's a memoir, and it unfolds in poetry, prose, and visual elements. And the suspense of this narrative is not what happens. You get to hear what happens at the very start, and it's more of the experience of what happens that is the momentum in it, as well as, of course, the content. And the book does not unfold in chronological order. Some of the pieces are numbered, and some of them are titled, and they're not in chronological order, and there are several poems that are titled Zero. And since this book has many visual elements in it, like, for instance, if you can see, there's a big A on this poem that I'm about to read. This is a prose poem. It's titled Dr. Abe's Psychotherapy. I'm not going to be able to, in readings, I usually try to bring the visual elements in some way via my body to my readers, but I'm not going to be able to do that today, given our technology. But I showed you the A, and so when I get to the A, you'll please imagine it, okay? All right. Dr. Abe's Psychotherapy. Door of Thin Skins. A woman's torso with flowing breasts, blue and tarnished, the slight and gold. A woman's torso with flowing breasts, blue and crannies of a tree on their whole. A wail of a man greets me at the door of his penthouse apartment. Very friendly, not the medicine man in his opaque box. The room is fashioned according to Freud, lover of the primitive, an olive paisley daybed, art in a precise geometry along the walls, like cut hedges around a house, two towering handsome leather recliners, water buffaloes placid in their hole. Totems from different countries, black wooden masks, quick meadows, the slight and tarnished. A few plants, spider, cactus, palm. Nothing truly rare, unusual, or exotic, but a pie smell, the innards of fantasy. He recounts what he's been told of me, including, "You're a poetess." Points to 3 framed pictures. I drew these in college. Pale yellow, black abstracts. A woman's torso with flowing breasts, blue and gold, coat of thin skins. A gift, he says, from the patient. A gift, he says, from the painter, a former patient. The woods are in here too. The cork lining the door still has the nooks and crannies of a tree. The wall beside the door, the sallow cork of a bulletin, the stem of our voices. Okay, and I'm going to read another one from this book. And this one is titled Hands. Okay, and this is a prose poem also. He splayed his fingers apart, their movement a Japanese, pure, make a vacuum style, allowing them to twitch in all directions, implying cherry blossom petals dangling from boughs. He was a tall and fat man, his fingers incongruously refined, long, and sculptural. Of course, the fingertips flipped up. I say of course, because even at rest, he gave the impression that he covered everything, above and below. How the very signal of that gesture enveloped to the point of obfuscating my senses. This is why it is nearly impossible to communicate, to hand over the experience. He did it when he tried to make a point, but I tell you, whenever he did it, all I was aware of was the portrait he made with his hands. At their widest opening on their way down, they were bird wings flapping, and the hole between the wings, where there should have been a body, was me. I think I'll read one more from here, and this is titled 18, just number 18. Around the corner. Your life will be different now that I'm in it. Rounding a corner, wrapping a curb in place, crust on bread. The toy track piece with the 2 poles, signifying the train rests here, stationary. End of the line, always to taste those words. His voice my winds while I wait for time. Later in my report, a dam broke in me. Around the line, rounding a curb, around the 2 poles, signifying the corner in me. Later, stationary. And while I wait for time. Okay, so that's what I'm going to read from Dwarfs and Skins. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that to see what the time is, and I still have time to read. And so what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to read back and forth between my recent book, How Do I Net Thee, that came out last year, and my newest book, The Sun of Blazing Zero. How Do I Net Thee was published by Salmon Poetry, publisher in Ireland. And How Do I Net Thee is published by Lavender Ink Diálogos, based in New Orleans, in the U.S. I also am going to travel a bit and read two published poems, but past the time of my new books. I also have a book coming out next year titled Sisyphusina from PANK Books. That book is centered on female aging and is a hybrid. Okay, so from How Do I Net Thee, and all my books really have visual elements in them. Okay, so I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read a poem titled If It Were Representational. And the title is hyphenated the way according to the syllables. If it were representational. Slice worms into a salad. Bread would be better. Seal eyes with envelopes. Black seeds. Must say, looking good. At a banister, eye again. Pins, hills, everything, rolling. No chance of rhyme. Black covered with ash. Climb, perhaps. Not this far. Stop. Thrill me. Will you? Will we? Climb, birds, fauna, seafoam, algae. Fall back. Onyx. Eyes roll up sleeves. Olives. Pair the echo again. Okay, and I'm going to read Ringed Like a Tree. A black bird big as a fire escape. Heights jamming never on the shrine of my calm river spring. Wind pets leaves, just nab fragments. Someone else's skeleton trees. The tendril of a sweet potato. Shoes bang up steps, shrubs flap. The principle of replication is basic to many disciplines. A bug moves in fresh soil, mute as an orange. We lived inside a fruit, pit silence. No mother's wing blown through like a flute. The air is happy when it is lifting something. Okay, I'm going to read, hello everybody again. Thank you for staying on and keeping on, listening. Okay, so I am going to read a poem that was previously published in 32 poems. And this is a very short poem, so one of my minimalistic ones. And this is titled Palm Trees Blowing Feathers. Evening's husk, palm, trees black. Can see nothing against evening's husk, but light of after. Palm trees, lolling light of after. My sister, my sister, my sister, my sister. my sis, bird black. Okay, and now I'm going to read a different type of poem that was published in Poetry Magazine just this past March. And this one is titled At the End of the Day. And this was inspired because in the fall, with our political climate, I kept hearing political pundits all the time, and, you know, they still do really. Everything was, at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, we have to say, you know, at the end of the day. And I was just hearing it so much that, that I started writing a poem at the end of the day. So I have to find it. Okay, I found it. I mean, I found the page number, but now I have to find it. This is like having handheld camera, right? As opposed to the computer, which would be still. So I'm sorry if I'm making anybody seasick here. Okay, at the end of the day. End and be any, make ends hour. At the end on my haze, elsewell that ends well. At a fair end, an end as itself. Any good must come to an end. Tie is loose ends, end on the line, defanging on the end as sight, coming to a man end as took, hour a terrible end, to end on the ticks, team end, on the semiotics end, light at the end on the tunnel, choking both ends. Does the end justify the bound? Short end on the brand. Know which end is. Now end. Toss end. You haven't heard the end on it. Follow me to the ends. Okay. So I am going to now turn to reading a few poems and pieces from the Sun of Blazing Zero. So I think I'm going to do this, and so I also do things where the type is lighter gray. You know, I also experiment with the shades of the type, the color of the type, and so that would change the volume of my voice. But I'm afraid to experiment with that given our technology. So it limits or narrows or helps me choose which poems that I'm going to read for you. So I think that I'm going to read I'm trying to find a particular poem. Okay, this is titled Sing to Me Too. Okay. Sing to me too. Snowpacks on trees, white mums everywhere. Refusal blends and circles, her silence, sky. Sing to me too. A bird flying in circles, silence flying a flock, open put of birds not. I could attack it, won't crack of not. I with the silence, a nut to climb of not. Her silence draws silence, a bird's refusal blends. Goodbye, tell my mother, silence a cat, a snow mountain, a not them down branches. Birds draw silence from before. Padding like a bird's beak raptors me too. I will a hill, no frills, mother silence. My sky, her life. I frill the silence, gilt my sky chalky, as if it won't crack, open, still, no. I try all through. I will a hill, a hill, a hill, no frills mother. The no response. Sing in her silence from before. I'm going to read one more poem from this book, and this is Inversion, Salt Lake City. And I've lived in some really beautiful places, including Salt Lake City, Utah, only to discover that the beauty actually contains a kind of toxicity due from all kinds of environmental pollution. And in fact, in Salt Lake City, there are inversions that different people can't go outside. Children, the elderly, people with asthma, and eventually you too, even if you don't have pre-existing problems. So I'm still getting the page for this one. And I will just have a few more poems after this. Okay. Inversion, Salt Lake City. Where there used to be mountains, a soggy blue woolen blanket, a little mud-caked. My eyes so tired keep closing, keep closing them. Sky a sooty mess again, lipstick trouble. Saws or sewing, my eye waits, wafts through colors. Ivy, soya, regenerate twig, forever look, do you have a match? Tick, tock, no stopping green. Eyelash lid, black reap my own. How do you get music going with a saw grinding into the wall? You said color isn't music. The sound of boring is a bass. My head stretches beyond. Want to take it off with a spoon. I'm shuddering 'cause I'm cold. Have nothing fancy to wear. Not the tutus of trees, brown. Okay, so I'm going to return to How Do I Net Thee? And How Do I Net Thee, as I describe it, kind of centers on realms that are in the process of disappearing or receding, but you can still see them, and it also focuses on different political situations, and including racism and war. So I'm going to read what transforms a white bough, for instance, and it has an icon in the title for play or move forward, that we see often. What transforms a white bough, for instance? Here, maybe I can show you that. Okay. Let's make some word water, 2 parts salt, 1 part light, influenced by the moon junkie. Streamlined, take a cup and fill it, that lemon scent in the outdoors air, a skirt of pine trees draped along mountains. Certain posturings are allowed, the sign says, and queen of the snow, a church, though some may say another kind of temple. Rocks inside and out, no dark-skinned here, just snow. Shake it, slim it, it's legit. Yeah, got sound, but something particular don't know anyone can do is making love with rocks, like gathering wild animals, shadows shined, raised, and pitted. And I'm going to read, let me check the time here. Okay, I really think that, well, Anna Black said to me that I didn't need to feel rushed, so I'm going to read 2 or 3 more poems, and then I'm going to leave some time for your questions. And this is a one-way street so far because I can see what you write to me, but otherwise I don't know what you're feeling or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to read a hybrid, kind of hybrid because it's poetry and prose, called So. And then I'm going to close with 2 very short poems. Okay? All right. So creme de la so-so, for you I go far, running on sayings. What's so good about that anyway? Tree, shadow, arms raised, striping a car. Sun comes in triangles. Keep this up at least an hour. Dogs, birds squeak, suddenly ravenous, want to touch my pie. There's a sliver of rectangle. Don't imitate now. Get a gun. Get up something red. What time is it? That's clear jelly in the mind. Leaves yellow in the sun. Moon for an hour. Ambush the green bush. Out there whistling in the background chains. Noises fall like cloth. Belly button silver cremation. Any time for you, no me. Cast a Stonegate rock. Whatever. Triple plate. Ridiculous yellow. Choose a flavor. Toss it, nappy school bus bee. White step black, black step white, and reverse while wind currents. A car closes past leaves, bunched like grapes. That slinky sound in the background you almost don't hear. Well, navy blue. To be sure, red is the ongoing color. Rage, sweat, spice, apple. Do-si-dos. Fear lowers and crooks between branches. Crunch of a man hauling a garbage can across a stone driveway. A squirrel flags its tail, gone. Leaves, shadows, another pattern, a love for place. Okay, so I'm going to read a shaped poem titled Pine Cone, and this is the penultimate poem that I'll read today. It's called Pine Cone, and it's shaped like a pine cone. I don't know if you can see it or not, if I am being able to show it to you. Okay. Pine cone. Something last in these mountains. Pine out the window. Woodhouse, sunlights. Outside, not that exciting right now. It's the inside that crashing. Pack the trees, sky, pineapple smell, and what about the night black inlaid with more and more crystal? Lime cones and single bird calls, not one group buzz electric. Rumpa duda crackjack, the way the wind blows arm on ledge, leaving this landscape soon, people, hammock of imagination, swinging, let loose, want all over. But then what, after taking, giving, nectar, to end on dry rock, though rocks here are nice, smooth, and godlike? Piercing someone's individuality, what do you do with the straw? If there was such a thing as melon blue, this sky would be it. And yes, I will talk about my influences in terms of the musicality in my work right after I read this last poem for you, and it's titled Signs. News today. Technology can alter the color and design on butterfly wings. First thing, watermelon on my mind. My eyes tear with boiling sleepiness, the pounding image in the fridge. But don't want to break the morning's unperturbable lake with just the swish of cars on the highway outside, once in a while the dragnet of a motorcycle, and the church across the street chimes, a felt-tip pen marking time. Ever since I lost my job, I'm more obsessed with food, like Noah and his ark. Cherries, $1 more a pound, a sign summer is almost over, the lap of August. Everything can be measured in fruits. Okay, so that's the end, and I'm not sure if you can hear. Okay, so my influences in terms of musicality, I don't really know. I wanted to be a musician, but I didn't know how to play an instrument. I don't know. Music is very close to poetry, right? That's the lyric. So I don't know. I do have a background in writing fiction, and so I do have an ear for dialogue, and so I do try to bring speech, and I guess it's part of the mix that I try to do, where I'm using different types of diction and different kinds of rhythm. So I guess you could kind of talk about it in terms of a braiding of high and low, and inheritances and the canon, as opposed to a kind of speech that at least at the time that I was writing didn't proliferate in the canon. Okay. So here I see, what is my writing process like? Well, actually, my writing process is very spontaneous, is very improvisational, except for the few times that I have something specific that is moving me to write a poem to actualize something. Otherwise, I just have to free write, and just as I tell my students all the time, writing happens when you're writing. I have learned from experience that I like to have eventually my poems published in manuscript form as a book, and I've learned that it's harder if one has a book that is not overtly or more or less overtly unified. There was a time when poetry books did not have to be analogous to a novel in terms of its continuity and recurrences. You didn't have to be thinking ahead that you were making a book. You could just write what you write. And I also learned that when one is applying for grants, residencies, etc., that it's useful to have a project. And so it has happened that in applying for things, I conceptualized a book. The only book that did not come out of the only unified book I have or ultra unified book that I have that didn't come out of necessity of that sort, but came from inner necessity, is Door of Thin Skins, which is a memoir and a narrative about a particular experience and so that was a book in terms of that it required a book to give shape and articulation to the experience. So I hope that answers enough about my writing process. Yes. So someone is asking me about using color in key places, such as the end of poems. Why? So I haven't noticed, in fact, that I end poems with colors often, and I will look back and to see this. But as far as why I use color a lot, probably because I am a very visual person. As I said at the start, I also come from a background of being a visual artist, and as I said, I use visual elements relatively frequently. I use the page, the space of the page, letters or written characters, and I believe and feel that they are part of what gives the reader an experience, whether they're conscious of it or not. I basically use my material, my medium, as part of the language of my poems. So colors, I don't know, just colors, I guess, are another kind of language for me. So that's why I do, and I think that colors are languages for a lot of people, and I'm trying to give people a sensory experience through my work. I'm trying to create experiences, and so I think that is a way of doing that. That's all that I can think about that. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Let me see what time it is. It's 8:05. Okay, okay, thank you, everybody. I know that there's a little bit of a lag time for questions to come up. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more and see if, okay, all right. Thank you very much, and I'm finishing up. And again, thank you everybody for coming.